Well, hello, ma'am.
Hey Quinn, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing really well. I'm actually at work washing kegs, so I'm just going to be here in the background.
Sounds
FYI.
good. Thanks for joining.
Quick question. So I saw an email go out about the recipients of the grant receiving, or the recipients of the Business Builder grant talking today. I think it got sent to Ross, and then it kind of got forwarded to me, but I don't think I ever responded. Do you need anything from us today to talk, or are you good with speakers?
No, we have the pasture and then Square One Kitchens today. So if you want to make time next month, you can definitely chat because we're gonna
Okay.
try to do next month too.
Okay, perfect. Well, we can definitely do that. But yeah, I definitely didn't get back on that email, so thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, but thank
Anyways, I'll
you.
be listening. Thank you.
Okay. Hi Amanda, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Quinn is washing kegs, working as always, so he is listening in the background here. But he we hopefully next month we can get them to the Red River Harvest can chat a little bit for the Business Builder Awardy spotlight.
That'll be good.
And then the agenda I put under our presentees like in presenting in partnership with Farmers Union. Is that all that I need to do for you, Amanda?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so, as long as,
As long as it mentions Farmers Union and us partnering on it.
yeah, that is part of the RFBC too.
Perfect.
So I just kind of told Becca and Casey when they were coming on, like, just 10 or 15 minutes just to kind of give like a little bit about what they do, how they got the Business Builder awards and stuff. Is it pretty low key usually these calls? I thought, yeah.
Yeah, usually pretty low key. And that's usually, so we usually have 40 minutes, I think, for one presenter. So yeah, 10, 15 for each will be fine. And then, yeah, however long it ends up going.
Okay.
usually
Yeah,
pretty.
and I told them I'm like they don't even have to show anything. We just really wanted to meet them and just kind of talk with them and we can always I guess have a follow-up meeting with them or something in the future too to just learn more about what challenges they're facing and kind of you go from there. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's the nice thing. These are pretty low key, pretty, yeah,
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
more personable, I should say,
Yeah, yeah. And there
meetings
can
than
be like
some.
a lot of people who show up, but it is still pretty casual. And yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. Some days we don't have as many as much engagement or as much chatting, but most people are really passionate about local foods and everything. So they're pretty engaged usually with the presenters, even if they're shy and quiet. So
I was out during September when you guys were emailing back and forth. Amanda, what was the decision on our NDLFDA meetings gonna take the place of the presenters for the monthly meetings, or what did you guys, where did you start?
For our keynotes or for our guest speakers, yeah, we um basically I told Jan that I would try and help find 6 speakers for the year because that's part of my requirements. And basically, Cheryl said as long as we capture that and in record.
Yeah,
So, and then we'll just promote, which regardless, even if we didn't, I was going to promote that these monthly meetings are happening and there's really good, which most people are on both of
mhm.
these call lists anyways. It's really up to people if they want to join though, I guess. No, but not that they can't re-watch them.
Yeah, perfect.
yeah, and we record all of them too. So yeah, it's nice to have them up on YouTube and can share them out after that too.
One of NDLFDA's deliverables is to host a Zoom workshop. And well, maybe during my 10 minutes, I'll discuss with the group. Um, I was originally thinking that the workshop we have scheduled for December 5th to have producers from the Red River Harvest Co-op and producers from Sprout share their real life experience selling through a producer co-op. I was hoping that could count, but we should double check with Cheryl because it's actually the deliverable for North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives Local Food Promotion Program grant. So I'm not sure if Cheryl would expect us to do a second webinar to meet NDLFDA's deliverable under RFBC funding. And if so, I would want to have a conversation with the group about what webinar they would like to see.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. But I feel like Cheryl will say it will probably count. Just usually how she's, if you're kind of meeting the same group anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna, are you gonna like lead the meeting or I'm not sure how you want us to do this with because I can introduce our speakers, but I'm not sure how you guys usually generally format or if it's Jan or.
So one of our board members will facilitate. I believe it is Ellen this time around. She's not on yet, but I did see Jan just hop on. And so we'll give her a couple minutes. And until then, I don't have a problem facilitating or both of us tag teaming it, Amanda. So I don't have a warm-up question, but I will add one and I'll start. And then I kind of like to do popcorn, so we get to call on everyone who's around. And so I think for a warm-up question, I'll just go with what's your favorite fall food? And I would have to say my favorite fall food is anything soup, vegetable soup, zucchini soup. I really like the zucchini basil soup I've been making. So anything soup. And I will popcorn it to Jan.
Hi everyone, Jan Stankiewicz with NDSU Extension, current board president for NDLFDA, and my favorite fall food, I would say like squash, any like baked roasted squash. I'll pass it to Amanda McLean.
Hi, I'm Amanda McLean. I'm the farm management specialist for North Dakota Farmers Union. And I would say my favorite fall is a stew with pretty much everything from my garden and our homegrown beef. I will pop it over to Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Bloomhagen. I'm the executive director for farms. I'm up here in Bottineau, North Dakota. And my favorite fall food is also squash. Send it over to Mitch.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah, Mitch Culkins, Lake Yggdrasil Regional Council. Sorry I got in here late. Sounds like the question is, what's your favorite fall food? Okay, same as Stephanie, it's squash. So nothing to you. So guess whoever's next.
You want to pick someone to go next, Mitch?
I don't know who went, so you can.
Becca, why don't you go?
Hi, I am Becca Bombach, and I'm here to present for the pasture. And my favorite fall food would probably be French onion soup. I will pass it to Candace. I don't think Candace has gone.
Hello. Squash is definitely a fall favorite. I'm currently making some chili with co-op ingredients. Mostly, I think all of it's co-op ingredients. So that's one of my favorite things to do is gather ingredients from like all of our producers and then see what I can make with it. So that's one of my favorite fall things to do with food.
You want to pick someone to go next, Candace?
Ellen, have you gone?
That soup camp, and I made a pot of chili last night that should last all week, and then cheeseburger soup is another favorite. And I will pass it to Sandy.
I would say anything apple. Apple pie, applesauce, anything apple.
Sandy, do you want to pass it to someone else?
Has Mary gone yet?
Nope. Hi, I'm Mary Helbig. I would say I would have to jump on the bandwagon with apples. I'm eating lunch right now, so I'm eating an apple right now, and also chili is a favorite of mine too. Thanks. Um, I will pass it to Deanna.
Hi, let's see. Favorite fall thing? I'm going to say fresh tomato dill soup with spelt dumplings, and I will pass it to Quinn.
Hey guys, Quinn Renfence here, current board president, Red River Harvest Cooperative. Favorite fall meal or item? Oh geez. I know squash has been said a lot, but I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon. Squash. Thank you. I can't see the screen. I'm multitasking. So whoever has not gone, please jump in. Or Jenna,
I
pick
think
someone, please.
Brian and Casey are two left, and if I'm forgetting you, then just shout out. But you know, do Brian and then Casey.
Brian Gann, I'm the Co-op Development Specialist for North Dakota Association for Electric Cooperatives. All kinds of favorite stuff: chili, apple cider, apple strudel. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Sorry, took me a second to figure that out. Casey Steele with Square One in Fargo. I would have to say pumpkin pie and pumpkin bars. It's the only time of year that I feel appropriate to eat them. So
And then I was wrong. I'm sorry, Emily. I'm sorry to leave you out, but you're last but not least.
No big deal. I'm gonna have to say chicken and dumplings. It's probably my favorite. Just basic chicken and dumplings.
Nice. A lot of squash and soup lovers in the crowd today. I was expecting more pumpkin pie when I started. I thought I was being unique, but maybe I started a trend. I don't know. But anyway, thank you all for joining us today. Amanda, I'll let you take over for the Business Builder Grant awardees if you want to present those. So we're sharing if you'd like. And so I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, well, thanks. So I guess I will put the toss up, whoever wants to go first, if Casey or Becca want to. But as one of the things the crowd really wanted to hear was from some of our business builder awardees through the Regional Food Business Center Award through the program. And two of the awardees was Casey Steele with the Square One Kitchen in Fargo, and then also Becca, I'm going to apologize if I butcher your last name, Bumbach with the Pasture, North Dakota, which is up in Cummings, North Dakota, which is just north of Hillsboro. So if you two kind of just want to share a little bit about what your business is, what you guys have, how you heard about the Business Builder Award, if you worked with any TAs, maybe a little bit of what you have overcome, maybe some of your challenges, because really we want to hear from you guys on how we can make this program better, how we can reach people who are in the local foods, and what kind of challenges you guys are facing, and how we can help assist in the future with things. So I will turn it over to you, either Casey or Becca, and let you two kind of just talk a little bit.
You want to go, Casey?
Oh, sure, I could start. Thanks. So for those who don't know, Square One is a shared commercial kitchen in Fargo. Been doing this for 12 years now. And I actually heard about the Business Builder through John Mahacek at the Economic Development Center in Fargo. He's a well-connected guy and just sends me things all the time. And so I realized that we actually qualify, because Square One sometimes doesn't, because I don't actually produce a product a lot of the times. But the primary person that I worked with was Candace Zimmerman for answering all my questions as I navigated the the whole grant process. I felt like the application process was pretty straightforward. The form online was very easy to fill out. And then when there was like the selection process, Candace was very helpful with trying to kind of help me navigate through that because I haven't gone through this before. So I found that part pretty streamlined. I did have some confusion about like how the funds are received and that part, which might be just because I don't know what I'm doing, but that was probably the only one of the main things that I could think of where I was just like, oh, I didn't know this was how it worked until someone directly explained it to me. But the videos and all that were very helpful with the once actually being chosen and awarded and everything. And the funds we received $35,000 and it was used towards equipment here at the kitchen that will increase productivity and efficiency for the different clients that use the kitchen. So we got some really cool equipment like a blast chiller to help bring food through the danger zone faster, or even like preserve some food that otherwise they might not be able to just, like flash freeze it so that they can get that preserved for later use. We got a bottle labeling line, which has been a fun thing to figure out. Because as a person I don't make anything anymore. I used to have a baking business. There's like one fly in my car and it's driving me nuts. Have to learn this equipment as well. So the bottle labeler, we've got a handful of different businesses that do a packaged product. So we've been figuring out how to dial that in based off of their different label sizes and bottle sizes. Got an immersion blender and a big food processor, and then some additional storage as well. Because the hope is that these businesses can produce more product more efficiently, then they need somewhere to store it before they go and send it off to a distributor or wherever it goes from here. I was trying to remember what as far as I think one of your other questions there, Amanda, that you had sent me was assistance and resources. Resources for us would be just and I know you're all in this realm of expanding the word about local businesses and local products, and the better they do, the better we all do. But I will say it was interesting that I had no awareness of this grant until it was sent to me, which might be on me because I am not the most connected person. I'm somewhat of a hermit and I'm trying to work on that. But so that was, I was fortunate that John sent it to me so that I could apply. And now we have all this awesome equipment that we're already, like right now I'm taking this call in my car because it's so loud in the kitchen between blenders and the immersion blender that I can't be heard. So, or hear. But yeah, but I can pass it over to you, Becca.
Thank you. It's great to hear from someone else who's been through the process. So my name is Becca Baumbach, and I'm with The Pasture, and we are located just 10 miles north of Hillsboro. So kind of just between Fargo and Grand Forks. And we are a pretty small family hobby farm. My husband and I both have full-time jobs, so we're not full-time working on the farm, but we raise sheep, or we did. We're slowly transitioning out of that. We raise myotonic fainting goats, turkeys, chickens, and then a pair of toddlers. So makes things a little challenging around the farm sometimes getting things done. But a few years ago, we did add bees to our property. When we purchased our homestead about 6 years ago, they had basically planted the whole thing with corn. So like the yard was corn, everything was corn. So it had been a challenge, actually having a lawn and converting all that field into a pasture, usable pasture. And then we've also planted a number of wildflowers, wildflower beds, native grasses, things like that. So we brought bees on. It just really complemented what we had already been doing. We have a lot of eco-friendly practices. We do no-till We don't use any antibiotics or pesticides. So yeah, the bees really just, you know, they just really helped us, helped our surrounding fields. And we found that the honey that was produced, we call it a wildflower honey, is very floral. It's very different than other honeys that we'd tried. And a lot of people talked about how much they loved it. And we thought, wow, there might be a market for this. So we've slowly started expanding the number of hives we have. And in terms of this grant, my best friend happens to work at the Grand Forks Region Economic Development Corporation, Becca Kruger, and she had let me know about this grant a few months before. And I actually had only looked into it 2 weeks prior to the deadline. And at that point, I reached out to Mitch at Lake Agassiz. He kind of helped me point me in the right direction, where to go in terms of getting a SAM.gov number, the UEIs, and all of that. And it was just really a fast process. I have a background in grant writing, which I thought was really helpful because I could navigate the process very quickly. I knew about SAM.gov because of my full-time job. So that was great. The application itself was very straightforward, which made it easy to apply in such a short time frame. And then Candace was invaluable when it came to being notified that we were moving to the next round and adjusting some of the items in our budget. With working with the bees, we basically couldn't write in anything that was going to have to do with the bees themselves. So the term beekeeper, bee, I mean, was kind of a tough one to even have in the application. So anything, if it was production, it needed to be post-production. So we were able to get $35,000 in funding for post-production equipment. So a bottling tank, extractor, a bottler, jars, labels, some farmers market setup equipment. We'd never done a farmers market before. So that was like a new undertaking, which is great when you don't have your kids there with you. But the market we did with the 2 toddlers, it was a little bit of a mad show, so madhouse. But overall, you know, I think it was a great experience, and we certainly got funding that we'll be able to utilize and expand our operations in the future. In terms of things that were maybe more difficult, there was some confusion on like what funds we could apply for, of which Candace helped us sort out once we got through the initial phase, and was just really blatant as to what qualified and what didn't. And that's basically what we needed to hear. And then again, there was some, like Casey had said, some confusion about like when funds were going to be received and how they were going to be received. But again, it was just like an easy email to Candace, and she straightened that out. Another thing that's been kind of a challenge now that we've gotten it is just the timing of the funds. So once we received the funds in July, it's not really, in terms of beekeeping, it's not really the time to be purchasing equipment. Everything was sold out. You can't even buy bees. So even though we weren't using funds on bees, we need bees in order to produce more honey. So we basically can't do a large portion of what we thought we could do until a few months down the road. So we've now been able to secure the equipment. We haven't been able to utilize it yet. And then we have purchased additional bees from a beekeeper that is, he's basically shutting down his business. But we're planning to purchase more hives in the springtime to hopefully ramp it up. So I feel like we had higher expectations for ourselves on the timeline, and it was more like coming up against reality, and like that wasn't going to work out. So yeah, so we'll just be a little slower in our startup than we thought. But yeah, overall, I think the grant has really helped us form new connections, for example, with farms. with the farmers markets that we've done. We were not really connected in this space at all before, and I feel like we've gotten a lot of support, a lot of people just welcoming us with open arms, even at the markets. You know, they're happy to see another vendor, happy to support us and share our posts and share our products. So we really enjoyed it.
You're on mute, Amanda.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Becca. Does anybody have any questions or want to talk to Becca or Casey?
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. It's nice to know what these grants are kind of going towards. Like we can read a report all day, but it's nice to hear from you all. My question's for Casey. How did you know what equipment was maybe needed, or like how did you assess the needs of the folks coming into the facility and matching it with the equipment that you're going to use in the grant?
Sure. So with the shared kitchen world, you have some businesses that are pretty serious about what they're doing, and then you have some hobbyists and those who maybe are very timidly feeling things out. So I was trying to focus more on these businesses that are really trying to move their business further and reach farther. So with that, it ended up kind of narrowing itself down to we have quite a few like packaged products, and they all happen to have round bottles, which was convenient. So then I was finding like, okay, what makes your job easier? Like what's something that I see you doing that's very time consuming? So it's like putting labels on bottles is a time consuming task. So then trying to pick out a bottle labeling line that would increase efficiency, but still be approachable. Like some of these bottle labeling lines are pretty wild, what they can do. And then so that one, the produce food processor was also like specific to a couple businesses here where I just see the potential with what they're doing. And then I know that these can also apply to different products too eventually. And the blast chiller is more broadly usable by so many of the businesses here, whether that's cooling cakes or freezing produce or whatnot. So that was kind of an easy one to pick. It was like a wish list of items too that we had been talking about for a while amongst different clients here too. And this made it actually achievable versus who knows how far out some of these pieces of equipment would have been without this grant.
Awesome, thanks.
Casey, I was curious if you could share with us who, like some of the producers or chefs or cooks or whatever who share your space at Square One.
Sure. So there's like right now the noisy ones in there are it's off the deck hot sauce. So they do like a fermented hot sauce that's available throughout the state and online, and then fermented foods, which is another one that's using produce to make like kimchi and sauerkraut. Fermented foods are a big thing. But then we've also got, as far as like, there's some different caterers and bakers in here too. There's a salsa maker, Juan's Salsa, which is very tasty. And then we've got, trying to think of, there's like a simple syrup company that would utilize some of this equipment too. Those are just a few of them. But like I said, we have ones that are way more active, and some it's their full-time thing, others it's on the side of a full-time job. So that limits to like, it's a lot. As you know, Becca, like that growing phase with maintaining full-time work and hitting that tipping point where it's like, all right, something's got to give. But yeah, those are a few of the more frequent users of the kitchen here.
Off the top of your head, I mean, no pressure. Do you know how many people total use your kitchens?
It usually sticks around like 20 to 24 businesses. And it's 24/7 access. So then that opens up to, it's not very popular, but some people do use it in the middle of the night or wee hours, that kind of thing. But usually around a couple dozen. We've had more, we've had less too. So the goal is that they graduate into their own production space or kitchen or whatever. So
And then I just had another follow-up question, both for Casey and Becca. So I think Becca, probably because of your grant writing background. So Casey, I noticed you had said that maybe the application was a little bit confusing. And then Becca, you said it was a little bit straightforward or a little bit more easy. And so I wonder if you could elaborate a little bit. If I know maybe Becca, that is because you have that background, but like what if we could bridge the gap, and make it a little bit easier for the layperson, or what do you think?
Well, so I've done federal grants. So going from a federal grant to this was a little easier, I suppose, and just knowing like the process, how to sort out your thoughts and into an application. And then I actually work as the executive director of a community foundation based in Grand Forks. So we're also a funder. So knowing on the other side, when someone's reading through something, if it's short and straightforward, sometimes that goes a lot further than these long drawn out narratives. So kind of having that experience, I think, made it easier for me. It also wasn't a super long application. I definitely appreciated that. And I think the only thing that I really struggled with was like the terminology of what qualified in terms of the budget items. That's where I really dug into the application and the supplemental materials.
Yeah, I think that like the actual application online was very like that was very simple. It was pretty easy to figure out like what was expected. There was like Becca too, like the what does qualify, what doesn't, making sure that I had those things in check. And then even then, once making it to like the sub selection part, Candace was helpful with like this won't work. Is there something else? That kind of thing. And then for me, it was just I really didn't have an understanding of the reimbursement part, how that works. I assumed that meant that I had to spend the funds, provide the receipts, and then would be reimbursed for those values versus it was here's a chunk now and then another chunk and another chunk later. And that could have been partly on, I don't know. You read so much stuff and sometimes you don't take it all in.
I actually think it was everything I read said I was going to be on a reimbursement basis unless I applied for an upfront amount. And so I had been, saving, of course, I'm saving my receipts anyways, but ready when the time came to submit my reimbursement. And then I finally reached out to Candace and said, when do I, how do I submit these? And she's like, oh, nope, we're working on checks now. So then it was cleared up, and thank goodness it's so much easier, but that was definitely very confusing.
Yeah, same here. The same process. I was getting ready to spend things as I could kind of thing. And then it was like, oh, the check should be sent out. And I was like, what do you mean? I haven't sent you anything yet. So there's definitely
we had gone and like applied for a business credit card because we're like, okay, we're gonna have to like upfront so many of these costs. And then, and it's still a good thing to have. But yeah, knowing that we had the funds available to us definitely helped.
Yeah. So, and being able to have those funds up front helps a lot too, because otherwise it would be like smaller chunks or one piece of equipment, and then as time provided, another piece of equipment versus being able to purchase a lot of it right away or the majority of it once receiving that first check.
Do you think if you guys were able to, like, I don't know if there's disqualifiers, Amanda, if folks are awarded, can they apply again? But if you are able and eligible to apply again, would either or both of you apply for something else in the future, given all that you know about this grant program?
Go ahead,
I was
Becca.
waiting for you, Casey. I was waiting for you to say what you were going to say.
I was like, who's going to hit unmute first?
Yeah, I think I think we need to get to like that next step, that next stage in our business where we have more of the hives and we're ready to go further with it. And then, yes, it was, incredibly helpful. I also, that Midwest spirit. I'm like, oh, I hope other people can get it too. But it's just, I feel like I didn't know about it until someone told me about it. And I was so grateful. So I just hope more people can find out about it.
Yeah, I think if like the building that we're in here in Fargo, we're kind of maxing it out space wise. So if it was, and it depends too on what qualifies or what doesn't at that time, or if things change too. It would, I mean, it could be more of like a physical, structural changes to the building would probably be what we'd have to do next before we could even purchase like the pieces of equipment that are in here now. I had to take out like kitchen cabinets and stuff to make room for them. Like everything's just like this Tetris. Something's got to give to come in. What's more important kind of game. So, would probably do that too. Yeah, I'd probably say we'd move in the direction of how can we make room for more people and more stuff.
Yeah. With this larger equipment now, we're running into that too. So, of converting like one of our grain bins into more of a honey facility instead of using the garage, actually having a building designated for that. So we're kind of running into the same issue with the equipment being large and having more capacity to do more. And I saw there was a question. There was no match requirement.
We might have to have you,
Sorry.
Becca and Casey, be our promo to help spread the word for next year.
I'd be happy to, for sure.
Yeah. Along with that question about if you'd apply for this grant again, I think part of our deliverables, the various regional planning councils deliverables under this program, is to help businesses like you apply for other grants as well. And also, are there other like business building aspects that you would like help with? Have you taken any business planning courses already, or are you interested in some training in different areas?
I know I would definitely be interested in training. I went to school for architecture, so I don't know what I'm doing. But the other goal with like eventually moving Square One from like this rental kitchen to an incubator, but in that process, just like this equipment here, I need to know how to do that, know how to use these pieces of equipment. So yeah, that would definitely be something I would be interested in. Just how to formalize that process so that I can help others, move forward with their businesses and on to the next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only thing with us is just, timing. And so we try not to overcommit ourselves. When we've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and 2 full-time jobs and a working farm. So my husband couldn't be here today because he's also driving beat trucks. So it's just, we definitely could use the education, and it's something if we could do it like virtually or fit things into the time that we have, those would be the things we'd be looking for.
I'll give a plug at the end when there's participant updates, but Farms is offering the Farm Beginnings course this winter.
I was taking a look at that.
Well, I think, Jenna, we can probably turn it over for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah, sounds good. So does anyone have any final questions for Casey or for Becca?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great. And yeah, I look forward to just anything else that you guys come up with or whatever. I need to be more involved is what's coming.
NDLFDA is the perfect way. You can meet with us once a month. We have a little social 15 minutes and then we do presentations like this. So yeah, definitely feel free to join us in the future. And thank you again to Becca and Casey, and Jan passes along her thanks in the comments as well. And so we're a little bit above time, but that's probably good for you, Stephanie. So next is Stephanie Bloomhagen. Bloomhagen. I say that wrong every single time. I'm sorry, Bloomhagen. And she is working on the FMPP grant and is looking for some stakeholder input for a webinar series. So Stephanie, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And oh, maybe they signed off already. I was good. Oh no, Becca and Casey, you're welcome to. Your participation in this section is going to be particularly useful, bringing the farmer and business owner's perspective. So FARMS, as most of you know, exists to provide education and support to grow local food businesses and to grow the whole local food system. And in addition to our participation in the North Central Regional Food Business Center as the supportive partner doing NDL-FDA's deliverables under that program, we also have several of our own grants with deliverables to provide education to grow the local food system. And the first one, the one that I want to focus on today is we have a USDA Ag Marketing Service Farmers Market Promotion Program grant. And AMS, Ag Marketing Service, happens to be the same arm of USDA that the North Central Regional Food Business Center funding comes out of. So the purpose and the deliverables are very well aligned. It's this programming is also to market local foods. Like Becca said, you know, we can't use any of this funding for production education. It's all about marketing, scaling up, post-production things. So part of our grant includes a webinar series called Scaling Up North Dakota Local Food Markets. And what we mean by scaling up is farmers market is a great place to start for most local food businesses starting out. It's fairly low risk. You know, you don't have contracts to sign. If you got hailed out or you don't have enough produce one week, well, then you can just skip the market. It's okay. But it's also hard to grow and scale a viable business once you've got your feet under you. Farmers market may not provide enough income to really scale that business. And so once farmers have some experience, there are other options. There's farm to school, wholesale, food hubs and co-ops, farm to restaurant. And so our goal with this webinar series is to help farmers explore those other options and help them identify what would work best for them and prepare for that. How does their business need to change when it comes to that? And what I put into our grant was that we would start planning for this series by coming to the larger local foods community and having some kind of focus group discussion questions. And in fact, North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance is written in as a supporter and partner when I wrote this grant application. The NDL-FDA board provided letters of support. So I want to start the conversation this month, and I've asked for time on next month's agenda to take the conversation a little bit deeper. So I wanted to have a little bit of discussion, and then I have a poll that is prepared in the Zoom platform to have you vote on which topics you're most interested in. So I'm just going to share my farmer educator, Jake, was not able to be here today. Are you looking at a screen that says 2024-2025 webinar series? Okay. For some reason, it's not giving me the little green frame. So what we've already got coming this winter is our Farm Dreams workshop in November, which is just an introduction. It's for people who are just exploring whether farming is even for them. And that'll be in November. That's free. We also have one workshop like nailed down. We're definitely going to have a workshop on December 5th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And our topic area is going to be food hubs. And this is in partnership with North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives, Ellen and Brian, who are on the call today, and Chris and Mary. And we are going to recruit 3 producers from Red River Harvest Co-op and 3 producers from Sprout Food Hub in Little Falls, Minnesota. And they're going to talk about the realities of marketing through a producer co-op or food hub. How did they have to change their production practices? Was there additional paperwork involved? Were there additional considerations in quality, or were they able to get a better price? Did they have to take a lower price? So next month, we'll spend some time talking about what questions you'd like us to ask in that webinar, because that webinar is not until December 5th, so we'll have time. We're also already having, as part of our Farm Beginnings course, workshops on holistic financial planning, soil health, the study of organics, and racial inequity in agriculture, in addition to the business planning, marketing, food safety, and connection to resources modules that are part of the Farm Beginnings course. But my question for today is, what other topics related to scaling up are you all, as local foods practitioners and members of the local foods community, most interested in learning about? And so some of our ideas are farm to school, agritourism, CSAs, community supported agriculture. We got farmers markets in there, U-Picks and farm stands, farm to restaurant, farm to grocery store, online sales, commercial kitchens, food safety, niche markets. So first off, are there other things that come to mind, or do any of those topics particularly spark your interest?
I think farm to school would be interesting. I know there's been a lot of work on that, but I think I think that overall has a good approach for a lot of people and just on a lot of things. I also feel community support agriculture would be good, because there's a lot of people who want to know where their food comes from, buy local, support local. So that would probably be interest. And then also, what are the challenges that maybe come with around some of those, like around policy? What are some of the, like, selling, food safety, I guess, is probably what I'm trying to get at, is for some of that could fall under, I don't know. So those would be my 2 picks, but
I would say more about the commercial kitchen from what I do as a regional council. More information on that would be interesting to me, to see if there is something more that could be done in our region.
It's a real tangible thing that could provide a lot of benefit.
Right.
And I agree with Amanda and Sandy. Also, I think agritourism in Bismarck, especially with the recent ordinance, which they, thankfully didn't pass, but that's definitely been a bigger thing for farmers. And yeah, how do they vertically integrate in a lot of its tours? And yeah, so I think agritourism is a good one too.
Even at a larger scale with the agritourism too, there's a lot of, I guess, even more traditional farmers that are like, I think of like Black Lake Ranch, how they have, their wedding venue and their brewery and stuff. How is that kind of almost going? How can we promote that in North Dakota? Because that seems pretty successful in a lot of other states too, just to get more people to tour to North Dakota and just stop thinking of going to Fargo or Medora. What other places can you hit along the way?
My other question, and I see, Katrina from Department of Ag isn't on today, but maybe some of the others of you, maybe like Extension or, well, we've talked about this with Red River Harvest Co-op. Do others of you have grants of your own with deliverables that might be touching on some of these things where we should look at partnering? For example, Candace, we're already talking about support. You're doing a farm to school webinar, so how can we work together on those things? And we're talking about that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Really like the opportunity to, when we were talking through doing this, it's part of our grant is doing this the Business Builder grant is to do the farm to school workshops. And we knew other people were out there doing the work too. So it's like, well, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, how do we work together with the resources that are already available, the people who are already in it? So just really grateful that we've got people to reach out to and can who are excited about working together and pulling those pieces together for a really cool workshop. And this list is really impressive, Stephanie. There's some really great stuff on there.
This is Jake's work.
Cool. Nice work, Jake.
Yeah, I was just going to add that Extension is continually thinking about its role in the farm to school piece. So I think that would be something helpful, to engage Extension folks across the state to kind of figure out where they fit. And then I will also add that I echo Sandy's comment about commercial kitchens, the hows and the whats and all the details around those. And then the food safety piece, the food farm safety. I think that's always a question, and we always run into like a lack of people who can do a training on that or be the teacher of those things. So if there's a way to build in that capacity, not signing anybody up for another role or another job, but it does seem to be that training piece is kind of the missing link.
So maybe some train the trainer or sending people to train the trainer. Well, Jenna, are you able to pull up the poll? And we could probably give people like 2 minutes.
Did everyone get a poll?
Yeah, it popped up.
And my goal is to kind of get a temperature check. We have 2 years to do this webinar series, so we may cover all of these. I'm asking you to choose your top 5 to get a sense of where we should start. And the second question is simply other topics. If there's something not listed, please add it. Well, thank you for your time today, and I'll give the floor back to Jenna for member updates and NDLFDA updates.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. I believe everyone has gotten to do the poll, so I'm going to end it now. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Share the results with everyone, just in case interested in checking. We can share the results too later. Emily. Yeah, that is a good point. Different food safety regulations in different counties and across the state. Okay, so moving on, our next section for the next 10 minutes, we're just going to go over member updates and some of our NDLFDA updates. So what I have posted here, and then whatever anyone shares, if you want to share links in the chat, feel free. But first and foremost, we have the Farm Dreams workshop coming up in November. That's the free workshop. It's just the elongated to kind of get a feel of everything. And then, of course, there's the Farm Beginnings, which will be free application until October 30th. And then that starts in January. So kind of Stephanie was showing the schedule, but a great course to go through. And like Candace and Stephanie were saying, Jake Callender is a facilitator and he does a really great job. So definitely think about it. And then the next 2 updates, we just received an NDLFDA, we just received an email to the NDLFDA account, so I thought I'd share them. But there's a food policy network, a listening session, and this is national. So this is a portion of the Midwest that North Dakota is a part of. And if you would like to be a part of that listening session, you can click on the link here, and it will be October 21st at 4 p.m. for about an hour. I don't have any more information on that at all, but it's just if you want to be a participant. And then we also got a share for the AmeriCorps. Of the AmeriCorps, they provide young adult volunteers to work for you. Some of you are probably familiar. And so if any of your organizations are interested in signing up to be a host to get an AmeriCorps member, you can check that out there. And then let's see here. Ellen shared earlier in the chat the feasibility study reporting session for the regional food hub set for November 20th. Ellen, are you still here with us, or did you? I think she left. But she gave a description there. NDAREC Rural Development Center is hosting a reporting session. So now that all the growing season is over, now's the listening session time. And then it'll be grant writing time, and then it'll be growing session again. Isn't that so fun? So those are the updates that we have on our agenda for now. And if anyone wants to share any of their updates, do go ahead. Please share.
Jen, I can expand real quick on that November 20th session. So that's just a report out, or not just, but it's a report out of a feasibility study that's in the works for that kind of a big Minot area regional food hub with a producer element, and then we're looking at a rural grocer element to this food hub. So we're doing a feasibility analysis of that entire project, and then part of that meeting too will be kind of the larger steering committee that's been a part of that project from day one. So yeah, just a little bit more context around that.
I'll do an update for extension quick. Looking at the folks on the call today, it might not be all that applicable, but if you know folks who have been affected by the wildfires in Western North Dakota, Extension is helping to assist with emergency response and disaster recovery sorts of things. So knowing that Extension might not be able to provide direct assistance, they might know who to go to. So just be mindful and share that. And then 2, Extension is partnering with the American Heart Association to kind of ramp up another capacity building project for farmers markets to accept SNAP. So we've got a couple of meetings coming up with farmers markets who have signed on. And while we're kind of moving into the next stage, if you know of a market who might be interested or ready to become SNAP authorized, we probably have room for a couple more. So feel free to spread the word and just have them get in touch with me. I'll put my email in the chat box. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jan, and thank you, Chris, for giving us a little bit more of a rundown on that feasibility study. And Jan, that's really cool to hear that Extension can kind of provide resources in that way. And I will share, we usually send like a little summary after these, so I will just put that as a note in or have Shelby put that as a note in our email afterwards. So kind of share that out about the farmers markets and SNAP. So any other updates?
I have a quick question. It's crunch off time. Is that happening?
I know that they did one at the football game here in Bismarck last week, or they did like a all wide one, I want to say. So I know Bismarck is participating.
Yep. Katie Jonke and I did one at 1 Million Cups in Bismarck last week or the week before. Yep. So anybody can register for their own crunch off event. So.
Okay. I just Googled and I found I think that's the registration link.
Yeah, so it's also National Farm to School Month as well. So all of October, I was like, I remember when I did that when I was at Parks and Rec. So yeah, so lots of things to celebrate. Any final questions, comments, updates, shares? I'm muted, sorry. The next monthly meeting for members is going to be next Tuesday, November 19th. That's the third Tuesday in November. And then we won't have a meeting in December, and we'll be back in 2025. We are still recruiting board applicants, and we have a link to our application here. So if you're interested, please fill it out. And if you have questions about being a board member, feel free to ask I and Jan, Chris. Let's see here. We've got 3 board members on. And so you can send an email to us too. And if you have any questions about what it's like, we can let you know. Stephanie was a former member as well. Jen, were you going to say something?
I was just going to mention that we were hoping to get a couple of the other business builder awardees on the November meeting. So you can hopefully tune in to hear more about those.
Yes, Candace, didn't mean to leave you out this one around. You can talk to us next month. So Candace was also with the Red River Harvest, was a business builder awardee. So, but yeah, anyway, so thank you everyone for joining. I hope you have a lovely rest of your Tuesday, a lovely rest of your month, and we'll see you next month. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Jenna.